What's up, guys? We're back on the Founder Hour with Daniel Kasidi, founder of Rastaclat. That's Posh. I'm Pat.
It's Tuesday. I'm feeling great.
Feeling great. Daniel, thanks again for being on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So yesterday we heard your story and kind of how the brand came about, but we touched a little bit upon just kind of why it's so important to build a brand and how that kind of leads your whole company, and especially a company like Rastaclat, which is so strong on its brand and built on its brand and the whole storytelling aspect. So let's kind of talk about like how the brand even came about and why it really like matters in your company and just any company.
Yeah. And if you heard the last segment, I won't get too much into it, but the inception of the company and the brand, forget the company, the brand came from how it made people feel.
Yeah.
And not only that's the reason why I kept doing it is because making someone else feel good made me feel good and gave me self-worth. So I was lucky enough to find that purpose on day one. I may have not realized the power of it, but I found it on day one, and for Rastaclat today, that's what it's about. It's about spreading positivity with people. And so our goal is to impact the world. Like I said, is 1% of the world's population in the next 3 years. We want to really inspire people and all around the world. And so, and when we talk about that, it sounds vague, but
yeah, I was about to say, because I feel like not a knock on you, but just like it's so easy for any company to say that. So like, but you've clearly like done it. You've made that impact. So I'm just trying to see like how, like what more is it? Like what more is it than just kind of saying, this is what we want to do? Like how do you even execute on that?
Yeah, and so how do we spread positive vibrations?
Yeah.
How do we seek the positive? And so for us, we do it in a couple of different ways. So it's getting involved in the community, and so we'll do things specifically with our retail partners or breast cancer, where we go out and we actually go out and speak to the people that have whatever it is, maybe breast cancer. And we talk to them and we hear their stories and we give them this bracelet and say, this is something to remind you to have a positive mindset every single day as you go through this thing. And it's really impactful when you see someone and they take that bracelet and they're like, and you put it on their wrist.
Yeah.
And what effect that has on someone. And that person will keep that bracelet on for years. I've seen it happen, And so it's finding ways to get involved in the community.
Yeah.
And for us, it could be charity. It could be going on Skid Row and giving those people sneakers, because our brand is based from sneakers, and telling them, hey, you know what, we care about you. Here's a pair of sneakers. Here's a bracelet. Remember to always seek the positive no matter what situation that you're in. And so one is community and just getting out there and doing it. It's not just saying we're about positivity.
And Daniel, just to delve deeper into your brand, seek the positive. I think especially in this LA culture, fast paced, very, high strung, stressful conditions that, a lot of people that are working or going to school live in. And again, it's almost like a first world problems type of thing here in LA. Right. But, there's a lot of negativity as well, whether that's negativity that's spread from others who are making that impact on you, or, negativity that you have within, your mental health, perhaps, that just negative thoughts. It's easy to say seek the positive, but how do you really seek the positive? How do you really go beyond that negativity, beyond the noise, and really have that positive mindset?
Are you talking more personally, or are you talking more within the brand?
Personally, and how does the brand play a role in that personal message?
I mean, I think personally is one of our seek the positive means to us doing good for yourself and others.
And how so?
Right, and how so? So doing good for yourself, it means taking care of yourself in terms of like educating yourself every single day.
Yeah, it almost comes before doing good for others, right?
You can't do good for anyone if you aren't good yourself. So our culture, and how does this tie in with Rastaclat? Like our culture internally is inspire and educate. Educate yourself on how you can live a better life. And educate yourself on how you can eat better. Educate yourself on how you can learn faster. Educate yourself on how you can grow your career. Educate yourself on how you think and the neuroscience behind how you think and how you can change those things. So for us, it's really looking internally and figuring out, how do I become a better person? And that can be done in many different ways, right? But the root of it is education, right? Like you have to be aware and you have to know. So so that's for us. That's what I do personally, but also within Rastaclat and our culture internally, that's what a lot of us do as well. You guys walk through the office. We have a library in our office, and those type of things.
In a world where there's so many options out there as far as like, messages or things that you can either put on your body, like whether it's not like tattoos or anything, but like actual like bracelets or like necklaces. How does a company like Rastaclat, or how does any company who's in the space set themselves apart? Like I'm wearing like a Lokai bracelet right now. Like they're obviously they're
Arch
doing their thing.
nemesis.
Arch nemesis. Yeah, I mean I'll definitely add
I have respect for
Rastaclat
everybody,
to the other hand. Right. But what I'm trying to understand is like how do you how do you set your brand apart from other brands that are similarly kind of doing the
same thing?
Positive? Yeah.
I think for us, there's a couple different levels. There's one, it's our aesthetic is different. So, we have a unique product that's made out of shoelace and it looks a certain way. Right. And we've kind of branded that. I think also the difference between our brand and maybe other brands that do bracelets and have a message behind it is that you can go on our website and see that we're involved in the community. Mm-hmm. You can go to our website and you can see the influencers that tell their story.
It's like this transparency aspect.
The transparency. It's not like we're just talking.
Because historically people have just talked, right? And now you want to like show people like, no, this is actually happening.
Absolutely. Yeah. And impacting people, right? So you're going to an event and you're impacting people and they're telling your story, or we're creating content. So I think I would challenge people to go to some of these sites that say that they do good and really look at their content. Right. And are they trying to sell you a product, or are they actually trying to do good? Right. And so I think that's what sets us apart, is that we don't just say it, we live it, and we all believe in it within the company. And so that's really important, because it's not a gimmick, right? It shouldn't be a gimmick. It's about, helping and changing people's lives.
And I'm sort of playing devil's advocate apparently on this segment. I'm not sure why I assigned myself that, but do the consumer, I guess from the consumer point of view, do consumers really care about that, or are they just looking at your bracelets thinking this is an awesome bracelet? Yeah, it looks great. I just want to buy it. I don't really give a shit what they're doing. It looks great. It matches my jacket. Right. I could wear it at work. I could wear it at home. I just want to buy it. I don't really care what they're doing. I mean,
it's a fantastic question. I mean, that's we do a survey twice a year, and we ask people, why do you buy Rastaclat? Yeah. And guess what the two answers are? The top two answers.
Price and look.
Price and look. Yeah. What about you?
Well, that was a good one. Yeah. I'm going to see the same thing.
Price and look, right? So the top two reasons people buy Rastaclat. One is, like fashion and style. The second one that they always select is brand message. Right? Okay. So imagine you go into a store and you see this rack of bracelets called Rastaclat. You're like, oh, maybe I've never even seen this brand. They're like, oh, this is unique. It looks like a shoelace. Oh, that was really ingenuitive how they came up with that. So simple. I like it. Matches my jacket, right? They'll buy that bracelet. And they open up the packaging and start looking at it like, oh, this is Seek the Positive. Like, oh, like it actually means something. And then they're like, well, let me go on their Instagram and like take a look. And then they see some of that content and they're like, oh, like I actually mess with this brand. Like this is cool. Like they're about something bigger than just a cool bracelet. So what we find is people buy a lot of times our first bracelet because it looks cool and they've seen it on a rack somewhere. Right. But they buy their 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th bracelet because
like they're repeat offenders, or
they resonate with the brand. And our studies show that people come back and buy 6, 7, 8 bracelets.
Daniel, I'm curious. I mean, perhaps you could add this to your next study, but if you had to ask the question on that survey of if we triple the price 3 times, we're not saying we are, but if we triple the price 3 times, would you change your answers? Do you think people, not you, but do you think consumers would change their answers? Will the brand, again, this is all devil's advocate stuff.
I like this.
But would consumers say, at this point, 3 times more, do I really love that brand message that much to pay 3 times the price point?
I think the question is, who is your consumer and what is their age range and what can they bear in terms of a cost, right? Like our consumer is predominantly 15 to 25. So you're talking high school, early college. So they may not pay $300 for a product like that. Right. But there's definitely brands out there that are charging $300 to $1,000 for a similar concept.
For a bracelet.
Right. But they're targeting a 35 to 50-year-old person, and they're buying it, right? Yeah. So
or a rich 18-year-old person.
A rich 18-year-old, which there's a lot of them now. So
there are, clearly supremely.
Right. The reason I was asking my questions is like how important brand is to the consumer point of view, like, right?
Yeah. I think it's super important. Someone asked me the other day, they were like, what's more important, brand or product? And I
That's
said,
a tough one.
yeah, it's a tough one. I think product is very, very important, right?
Yeah, it's like 1A, 1B.
Yeah, it's like 1A, 1B. Like product is important because if you get a shitty product, you're not going back and doing it, no matter how awesome that brand
slap
is.
Nike on it, it's gonna still suck.
Exactly. There you go, right? So, but brand is what brings people in, and keeps people in, and keeps people engaged outside of the product, right? So, if your brand stands for something, then you have a value and an asset that you can't take that apart. Like someone can make a Rastaclat bracelet, or a bracelet looks just like Rastaclat, and that's the product, but no one can duplicate that brand.
Yeah.
Like that's such an interesting asset that you have.
Because they don't have the people. They don't have you and your team.
They don't have the story. They don't have the team. They don't have the culture. Like those are things that take years to develop.
Right.
And and it's if you think about how even companies are evaluated, right?
Oh, brands are big.
Brands get the highest valuations because it's so hard to duplicate that.
Right.
If you have a commodity, a bracelet, they're going to be like, well, that's cool, but you're not going to get a high valuation because it's a commodity. Anyone can do it. So that's why it's so important in a business aspect to think about brand, but more so like the people that come to your place of work every day, like they want to know that they're working for something that has purpose.
Right.
And if you think about how much time we spend at work, like why would you want to work somewhere that was just like you're just trying to hit a revenue goal? One of the things that we do here is that we look at all the reviews that we get every week and we share them around the office. Like someone will write like, hey, love this brand because it reminds me to like seek the positive every day. And like when you come to work and you get 10, 15 or however many of those messages, you're like, let's get after it. Like I'm doing something that's bigger than myself.
Right.
Which in turn helps revenue.
Which in turn, that's the result, right?
Right. But
And
it's not the goal.
It's that mind fuck, right? Like you can't think about the revenue.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you got to think about the fulfilling the purpose, and the revenue follows, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like that Seinfeld episode that George has to think opposite for things to go right. You know? And that's sort of like what you have to determine. And some people don't have that natural mind way of thinking. And I can't even say honestly that I had that way of thinking when I started it because I was selling.
Yeah.
But as I've evolved as an entrepreneur and just with the brand, it's like understanding that if we don't develop the value of purpose and give something bigger than that, then this is just a commodity, right?
Yeah, and I'm curious, kind of talking about branding and culture, and obviously the name has a lot to do with the brand. And in your case, or a product like this, where people are kind of like even walking into a store and they see it like hanging on a rack, like you see the name first.
Yeah.
I mean, you see the product, but you see the name.
Right.
And obviously, like Rasta is like really kind of hip hop culture, reggae culture, like Jamaican culture. Like, do you feel like you can branch out of like that kind of culture? Do you want to just always stay in that culture? Or has it even been like an issue at all, or anything like that?
No, it definitely, like when someone hears the name Rastaclat, there's people may be like, oh, is it like a Rasta brand, or is it about reggae? Like, but like if you look at what we're about, it has nothing to do with that.
Right.
The word Rastaclat means the cloth of the righteous, right? Because clot, Jamaican patois means cloth, and Rasta is a righteous person in that philosophy. So the cloth of the righteous, and so this is also ties back to like if you start a business and you don't really know exactly who your market is, and a lot of people don't. So you might double back 10 years later and be like, man, like I could have been a different name, right? Or I would have named it something different if you knew 10 years down the line. But those are just the things that you go through and you figure out as you go. And for us, we've learned that that at the end of the day, that the brand name is a brand name. We love it. We stand by it, but it's the message that's even stronger than the brand name, you know? So, so that's what we do. Like for instance, Nike, like if you go to a Nike store, like they don't even say Nike anymore. They just say, just do it. Right?
Yeah.
Like any Apple product that you have, does it say Apple on it?
No, it's Apple, and
it's just an Apple,
think different,
right? And it's think different. So those are the difference between brands, right? Like the brands that have really great messages and truly live it and show it, they can achieve that. And that's what we hope. I don't think we're there yet. I think we have a lot of years of showing how we do it in a very, very authentic manner and in a scalable manner to truly get there. But that's what I'm excited about every single day.
Love it, man. Well, that's Why Brand Matters by Daniel Kasidi, and you guys have built a phenomenal brand, and thanks for sharing your insight.
Thank you, guys. Those are hard-hitting questions, man.
Hey, man, that's what we do. That's what we do.